Hey everybody, how you doing? EDGYTIM from the road. Just thought I would check in and talk about a handful of subjects that have popped up recently. It is Saturday, week 4. I am on just leaving my humble abode in the greater Chinookawood area and about to hop on I-80, head out east. Heading out to Bloom Township on a Saturday. Lovely Saturday afternoon. Go watching the Blazing Trojans and their brand new blue turf field. I am so excited to see blue turf. They are hosting Crete Moniz. So again, Crete, obviously, I think arguably one of the best 0-3 teams in the state of Illinois. So I get a chance to see both the Warriors and the Blazing Trojans today. So, handful of subjects I would like to touch on, if we may. So far, basically 4 weeks in the books, regular season, kind of scary. We're almost at the halfway point of the regular season already, and well, a lot of upheaval. And there's been some action in the polls, top 25, top 30, whatever you decide to roll with. There's been a lot of juggling, a lot of shifting. There's been some obvious upsets, and am I surprised? No, I'm never surprised, and I'll be honest with you, even though I do polls, and like everyone else, I'd love to be right every week. I certainly, it's almost like a weatherman. I certainly hope I'm not being graded on my polls week in and week out, because some weeks are obviously better than others. So, yeah, I'm not surprised we have a lot of juggling around. I kind of go back to something that I'd said and kind of talked about quite a bit a few years back, where I think what we've seen here in the state of Illinois, at least what I've seen in the state of Illinois, and I think it's for the most part has held true. We're even seeing your quote-unquote power programs, and I think this year Loyola seems to be certainly that for a long time they were the exception to the rule, but now maybe not so much. As again, Ramblers 2 straight losses, and again, to be fair, 2 straight losses to 2 very good teams back-to-back weeks. But again, when was the last time the Ramblers lost 2 straight of anything in the regular season? Not very often. And every team has their issues, and every team has their problems. Look at Lake Zurich this year. All of a sudden, they're 2-2 and can't seem to be able to score a whole lot of points. So you're going to have, every team's going to have their various issues that are different from year to year. But I think what I'm starting to see, and I don't know, maybe you are as well, is I think we're really starting to see an impact on the overall quality of play, and even from a power program standpoint, where you would have some of these traditional powers that would be 2 deeps, almost 3 deeps in a lot of cases, where number one, I think the overall pool of talent is down. I think the overall numbers of talent are down, which obviously ties into just sheer overall numbers are down for football. I think specialization is definitely impacting IHSA football. I think we're seeing more and more of your, I think more of your skill athletes, your quarterbacks, some of your receivers, running backs. You're seeing a lot of these kids sticking to one sport. I think baseball in particular is one that just is a season that never seems to end. If they're not in the Wooden Bat League this time of year, they're getting ready for their winter travel ball. And, so it really, I think, has had an impact, obviously taking into account, trying to reason a little bit of the lowered numbers as well. So I think we're going to continue to see some juggling. A few years back, I said I don't know if I've seen that dominant team out there yet this year. I feel the same after 4 weeks this year as well. To be fair, I have not seen Lincoln Way East. I very well might get that done next week when they host Lincoln Way Central. I haven't totally decided yet, but obviously I need to go see the Griffins very soon. Been #1 team for me since last year, so and really that hasn't changed, and East is obviously off to a good start, but and so I'll have a better idea there. But outside of that, I still have not seen that dominant team all year. And also Brother Ice, obviously, I need to go see live this year, which I will do that a little bit later in the year. So I'm not absolutely stunned, and again, no excuses. I feel pretty good about a handful of teams that I ranked early that and again, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to what other people do or other people say. I kind of never have. I do my own homework. That's why I always insist on, or at least I try to get my polls out before everyone else, because I don't need a cheat sheet to do my work. I do my own polls. My preseason poll came out end of July, and so I take a lot of pride of being the one that, right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm going to get my stuff out first, and everyone else can follow suit from there. I kind of don't care. But it's interesting that there's a handful of teams that I ranked early that I got a lot of questions about. I think Brother Rice was the main one, where I had the Crusaders, and again, I'm not going to lie, it was a roll of the dice on my part, but had them in. Cary Grove I had ranked pretty high compared to some other people early on, and but again, with every win you get losses. So believe me, I'm not one of those I told you so kind of guys, but I definitely like when I make a gut instinct here and there and it comes true. So that's the fun of it for me. Some other things to discuss, and I know that I get asked a lot how I decide the games that I go cover every year, and I know there's other some other, I don't know, fan sites or whatever they are, where it's this big thing, they do a fan vote. Well, I did that about 10-15 years ago, and it was great. I always listen to the fans. I still do to this day, and that'll never change. But what really happened and changed was that it seemed like I was going to the same schools every year. And for me, the fun of covering the team side, and and again, and I've said this from day one, and I'll say it probably for as long as I'm doing this, as much as I love covering recruiting and being involved in it, it's less fun these days. It's a heck of a lot more work than when I first started, but again, I have no complaints at all. But if I had my pick between covering the teams in the season versus recruiting, teams win hands down. And a night like yesterday, when I went and saw Glenbard East upset, and I'll say it's an upset West Aurora, first time since 1967 at East is 4-0. Great game, great atmosphere. And I got a lot of shrugs and people scratching their head saying, well, why are you going to Glenbard East? Well, I'm going to Glenbard East because, number one, both them and West Aurora are undefeated. Want to get an idea of both of them. And I like mixing things up. I really do. I love going to new places and new experiences. And, and again, it's changed a bit from the early days, where in the early days I literally could go anywhere across the state, and did for a lot of years. Made a conscious decision that once I got involved with NBC Sports Chicago, that I would be certainly bound to the Chicago area on Friday nights. And it was a decision taken not very lightly, because I love getting outside of Chicagoland and going to smaller schools and going to football hotbeds across the state. I love doing that, and I still do. And come playoff time, I'm definitely looking to get outside of Chicagoland if at all possible, while still fulfilling my obligation to NBC Sports Chicago. And so I love, and when a game like the one I had last night with Glenbard East and West Aurora turns out to be a great game, it's even better. So again, I could go see Loyola every week, or I could go see Mount Carmel every week, or I could go see Naperville Central or Bolingbrook or HF. And I guess the only real criteria I set for myself, and I have for a long time, is I do not like to repeat seeing teams in the regular season. I just avoid it. Prime example, Bolingbrook and HF last night. Knew it'd be a great game. I saw HF a couple weeks ago down in East St. Louis, so I didn't see a point of missing a game, to go see one team. Now, once the playoffs roll around, all bets are off. I will go and see teams in the postseason I've already seen in the regular season. I have no issue with that at all. But again, it's getting out to different places and seeing new teams and experiencing new programs, and that's the fun of it for me. So So that's how I choose my game. I mean, again, I would love for the fans to vote. It's great interaction, but I have well-established message boards and people that let me know what games they like and what games I should go cover. And again, fans always drive the machine at EDGYTIM.com, so there's no doubt. Speaking of the message boards, really happy with, for the most part, happy how the boards have been going this year. I really like the fact that the fans have really kind of taken ownership as far as content, and where someone will put up, hey, Fox Valley Thread of the Week, Duquesne Conference Thread of the Week, Catholic League Thread of the Week, which has seemed like it's been going for years and years, but that's awesome. I love that. I wish more fans of conferences would do that. I think it draws people in. I think it makes you focus on a specific conference race, and whether you're a fan of it or even if you're a casual fan, it definitely seems to generate more content and more interest and more discussion, which, hey, that's why I opened the damn things how many years ago? So 24 if you're keeping count at home. So yeah, outside of that, you know, other than that, things are good. Life is good. The grind continues, and boy, I hope we keep getting weather like we had this weekend for the games. It's nice to not be in a lightning delay or rain or everything else, and so when you get these nice weekends with great weather and dry, you definitely learn to appreciate it. So, all right, that's all I have for you now. I definitely will continue to check in from the road, and hope to see you at a game sometime soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.